very much like right now, for all kinds of reasons, that ability to really be oneself fully is really activating the emotional body in all kinds of ways. And so what I'm also noticing is there seems to be almost these ripples. It's like the first layer will come through and it'll feel however it feels, and maybe it go through this process. And almost right behind it, there is another layer, another ripple of that. And so I'm wondering if you could address that as far as going through a process like this, and then it's almost like there's one element of it that has been completely seen, and within just a matter of a few hours sometimes or a few days, something else will come up that's directly related to it, but a brand new kind of, feels like to me a brand new depth or level of it.
That's absolutely right, and we can go to Shrek and talk about the
layers of the onion. I hate that term because I think, oh my God, it'll go on forever.
I know, and it's kind of true, but then it does also come to an end, and I can give you a personal story if you would like, and
yeah, absolutely.
Which is that early in the 90s, I love horses, and I do a lot of rehab work with horses. And early in the 90s, one of the Olympic riders, Lynn Little, asked me or sent me, gave me the gift of one of her young horses in training to do some rehab work with. He had stifle problems, and I was so excited. This horse was magnificent. I adored him from the moment I saw him, and he was totally beyond my capability to ride. But ride him I was going to. And so the first time I took him out back in the field alone, I felt a lot of fear. And what my fear was trying to tell me was that I wasn't safe, that I did not have the capabilities of doing it. But thinking I only had two reactions, I stuffed it down and decided I was, I had to overcome my fear, and I wasn't going to let fear rule my life. All those things we tell ourselves because fear is the big boogeyman today. We're none of us supposed to feel it. So I didn't take the wisdom of the moment, and I rode the horse up into the field. And because I had tightened up everything in my body in order to not feel the fear, I also was disconnected from this entire source of information about my safety and about what was going on. And when we got up into the field, the horse was just being a happy horse. He was just a little buck here, a little buck there, but I was not in my body enough to even stop him. And he, of course, tossed me at a pretty fast clip. And as I went down, I fell, and all I could think of, the only thought in my mind was, if this horse gets loose, he's going to run all the way back to Florida. So I held on to the rein and landed on my head, opened up my eyes to see the hoof coming towards my head, at which point I let go of the reins and completely, blacked out. And when I came to, I could just see, I couldn't actually see, but I could hear, and I couldn't move. And I thought I'd broken my neck. It's a Christopher Reeves moment. I've broken my neck. My kids are all down in the riding school having a lesson. I'm not going to be able to get up and go down there. And so there was all of this self-anger and shame and all of these different things. When I woke up, the horse was standing right next to me. His nose was like right up against my face. He was so worried that I had been hurt. And I got up and I climbed back on him when, it took about 10 minutes for everything to, my faculties to come back. I climbed up back on him. I didn't have a broken neck. I took him down there. Actually, I did have a broken neck, but it didn't hurt my spinal cord. Anyway, I took him down there. And in the course of going through the healing of that, it took 6 years to go through the healing of that. I couldn't move my neck. I couldn't move my arm. I couldn't do all of these things. And it took like 3 years just to get through the fear. And there was so much fear, because I had just not listened to my body, and the fear had so much to say. And it was like session after session of body work, emotional processing body work to get through the fear. And then after the fear came the anger. All the anger that I had at myself for not listening and for not doing what I needed to do. And then after the anger came the shame and all of the shame that I had to go through. And then the final piece, the piece that released me from all of the neck and everything else and allowed my body to complete its healing, was that I had taken on the horse's shame at having hurt me. And in that moment, I took in his energy of his concern and his shame at having behaved badly. And
right.
I had to do a whole energetic piece with the horse and allow that healing to take place too before my body was free to complete its own healing. And that type of thing is like we are involved energetically with our entire environment. So part of these layers are us, and part of these layers are what we're in interaction with.
Well, absolutely, and I see that definitely within myself and within the certified practitioners as well, especially working with parents of children diagnosed with autism or energetically sensitive children. I mean, all those layers that you just described, including the layer of these energetically sensitive individuals as practitioners taking on the energy of the families and their personal children. It's a huge piece.